and welcome to the Cynic Weekly on Thursday, the 7th of May 2026. I am your host, Christopher Gallagher, and it's squeaky bum time in the push for the title. Oof, there's lots to talk about. There's an anxiety in the air. There's an excitement in the air as well. And we'll certainly talk you through it all. I'm delighted to be saying I'm joined by, which way is he going to go? Is he going to go left? Is he going to go right? It's Stuart Duggan.
Well,
how are you, Stuart?
Honoured to go first. That's brilliant. Great to be here. Thanks for that. That's made my day.
You were left.
Yes, left. I don't want to dox what position we get in, and you've done it.
See, when I said high energy,
that's high energy. That's as good as it gets. That's my ceiling.
That's where we are. I'm joking, of course. We're also joined by the wonderful, on the right hand side of the father, of course.
Lovely.
Barry Gallagher. Hello, Barry. How are you, sir?
I'm very well, thanks. I'm actually feeling pretty positive. I know that could be extinguished within 48 hours.
Yeah,
yes.
or seconds of speaking.
Yeah,
to
by the time you talk to me,
not quite 40 hours because it wouldn't have started yet. The Hearts Motherwell game, but there's plenty to talk about, and I'm kind of channeling all this. This is where Celtic come alive. Course and distance, maybe not goal difference could be crucial because that could go against us. But let's do it.
Let me ask you this: see if it got down to that scenario where it was goal difference and Celtic versus Hearts. How confident? And let's say it was a 5-goal swing, so we had to score. We had to beat them 3-0, right? How confident would you be it could happen?
Do you know how many times this season Hearts have lost by a 2-goal margin or more?
I'm interested. Tell me.
It's once.
Who was that to?
Rangers at Ibrox. I'm pretty sure that's right because I looked it
that
up the other day. Yep.
Oh.
And
That'll adjust my answer.
no, I'm sorry. And similarly, do you know how many times that Celtic have won by more than a 2-goal margin? It's
2 or 3.
It's not mining. It's not mining.
But maybe that's the perfect.
We're due one.
Gumbo.
You could say we are due one.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Due 2. Sunday.
Two,
and
yeah.
Hopefully, due 3.
Yeah. Yeah. Goal difference could be crucial.
What about you, Barry? How, what was your? If it did come down to that scenario that we all kind of fear a little bit.
Maybe the way things are going just now, if you were to offer that, I would take it. Like, just, do you know what? I was watching the game. Was it last night, the PSG Bayern? Was it last night?
Yeah.
And they were talking about, like, when does company start to panic? And I was just thinking about that when you were saying that. Like, if we need a 3-0 victory or a win by 3 clear goals, how confident would you, I'll flip the question, how confident would you be if it was 1-0 at half time?
Oof. I'd be a third confident that we'd do it. I don't know. There's a part of me that thinks that that's another question to ask. Mm-hmm. If you were to, would you take that now, Stu?
Yeah, I think I probably would, and I think that whilst I'm highlighting that, you know, Hearts haven't lost a lot of games by that margin and we've not won games by that margin, I think that the context would be absolutely critical that you would have an almost capacity Celtic Park, Celtic fans against a Hearts team that have just the absolute weight of the world on their shoulders. And I feel like the way that you would approach it would sort of be like, you know, a second leg of a European tie or a cup tie, where suddenly, you know, you get the first goal and then momentum's really on your side. And you saw how quickly Celtic kind of pulled away from St Mirren in that extra time period. You might end up in a situation like that. I also think that, I know we'll talk about it a bit more, but watching the Hearts Rangers game on Monday, Hearts do look like a team that are carrying a lot of pressure at the moment, and definitely in the first half were more or less a non-entity.
Yeah.
And then they found a way to sort of galvanise, recalibrate and go again in the second half, and I think that would be maybe more difficult to do Celtic Park when you absolutely have to, especially if you've gone behind. But I think that given the situation, and I know we'll come on to talk about it a bit more, I probably would still take that scenario where it's maybe 2 or 3 goal swing.
Yeah, I think I probably would too. I think, can you imagine, honestly, the buzz of like complete trepidation, excitement, but, you know, sitting at Celtic Park or sitting in front of the telly or sitting in the pub, Barry, and just being like, okay, here we go, the game kicks off, and then it's all in the hands of the players and the manager. And actually, if you'd said to all of us that it comes down to the last game of the season under Wilfred Nancy when we were going through that period or any other time, you would have grabbed at it.
Yeah, definitely. And Well, there will be examples of, just as Stuart was talking there, I was thinking of Art Media when we tried to come back and we had to post a few times and we didn't quite get there, and obviously Rugby Park in 2003 where we kept scoring but it wasn't enough. But if you think back to the anniversary of this very week 40 years ago at Off Street where we had to score 5 goals and we did, and it would all sort of tie into that. There's a fairy tale about this club, like a one-off game. This is exactly what you have to do. You know what you have to do before you can kick the ball. And you would hope that, as Stuart says, like the atmosphere could kind of pull us through. I just wonder how we would approach the game. Like, obviously, the temptation would be to go gung-ho, but I'm not really sure if this, other than that St Mirren game, if this Celtic team has it in their sort of minerals to go gung-ho. Would we just start shooting on sight, or I don't know.
Be nice if anyone would fucking shoot on sight watching the game on Saturday.
Fucking hell. See on that though, like, see the Simonovic scoring on the kind of anniversary of Millie McNeil passing in the 67th minute. Sometimes it is just like, fuck it. Like, maybe just have a bit of, keep the faith.
Beating Barcelona on the anniversary, etc.
There is that, and I'm all for that. And I think that genuinely one of the best, maybe only things that we've got going for us is this notion of fairy tale or something with O'Neill. You know, there's just like the notion that Martin O'Neill could come back to Celtic at all in 2026, let alone win a double, is absolutely unfathomable. I was talking to somebody about it the other day that I worry that now that essentially it's a 2-horse race, I worry that we're the baddies in it. And it's like that are we the bad guys? Because obviously we're sort of like the most dominant team in the country, and there are lots of people that are rooting for this Hearts fairy tale story to happen. I was like, are we the bad guys? And ordinarily I'd never question that, but the fact that we've been absolutely brutal all season as well, I can see why people would root against us. So I think there's 2 fairy tales. I prefer ours though. So
to quote the late great Scott Hall / Razor Ramon, bad times don't last, but bad guys do.
Well, there you go. I'll take a bit of that. If that's good, I'll take that.
Opening question, because we do have quite a lot. We've got some fucking terrifying links to some terrifying players, but we'll get to that. Opening question: if you could control one thing for the remainder of the run-in, what would it be? So obviously the run-in, we played Rangers on Sunday, we played Motherwell at Fir Park on Wednesday, and then there's that game against Hearts at Celtic Park to close out the season. If you can control one thing, can be anything you want, Barry, what would it be?
Well, I'm not going to be too ambitious or too sort of overreaching a wee bit, but see if I could just guarantee 3 wins. I know that might not be enough, but that would be enough. If that's all I could control, I would take it right now, because you are hoping for Motherwell to do as a turn or whatever. The Falkirk Carts play as well. I think that feels less likely, doesn't it?
At Tynecastle.
Yeah, I think as long as we can win our 3 games, I'll roll the dice in the hope that we are able to outscore them or something else goes our way. So 3 wins on the board for Celtic, please, and then see what happens.
Stuart?
I don't know if this is sort of out with the parameters of the question, but I would definitely say Hearts dropping points before the last game, whether it's just a draw on Saturday or Wednesday. Well, Saturday primarily, because I think that my big concern with regards to how Monday went is that I think they have a real momentum where I don't think anyone really expects them to like bottle it now or fall away, because it's a bit late for that. They might come up just short, but I don't think that would constitute bottling it, because they really have been in it tooth and nail, and every time they've sort of been challenged, they've found some way to kind of ride it out and win games. And I think they've really ridden their luck a lot, and maybe that will be the undoing of them, that they sort of run out of that. But I think it would really help switch the momentum and for us if they could drop any sort of points, because I know we're saying we would take that scenario of outscoring them in the last game, but I just really don't trust this Celtic team to do that. And so if there was any sort of leeway where 3 shite 2-1 victories would get you over the line, then I would take that. And then if not that, I would say a clean sheet, because it feels like doesn't matter how much we dominate a team, we're just always conceding really stupid bad goals. And with the margins being as fine as they are against 3 of the 3 strongest teams in the league, I think a guaranteed clean sheet in any of those games would be really nice.
Do you think Motherwell away is the extra sort of for obviously Hearts have to go to Motherwell away on Saturday, but that's like the, I don't know, secret sauce of pain, I guess, because Barry, if we were playing Motherwell at home, you would have a slight, you'd have that slight advantage, but Motherwell away, the last time we were at Fir Park, it was
like a European game.
It was mental. So in that regard, do you have thought about Hearts dropping points at Motherwell away?
I have, yeah. I think the bookies have them favourites, Motherwell. I don't know if that's still the case, but yeah, it's a difficult place to go. I was enthused with Bertolasco's comments today. I don't know if you saw them.
His comments were quite funny as well.
Yeah, like
this guy's got
kicked
a
in the head,
bit of patter about him.
lie down in the head and try and score a goal. Yes, I think it's going to be quite sort of. It could be the place where someone's title dream dies. I think, and. Have they beaten them before? They've beaten them.
Motherwell actually have a good record against them. Yeah. So they drew. They had that weird game where they were 3-0 up at halftime or 3-1 up at halftime, and they drew. And then Hearts won the last game at Tynecastle there with 2 really late goals with a very controversial penalty. Yeah. And then I think they might have drawn the other one, the other game at Fir Park.
But I think part of me, I always think of obviously Fir Park of where O'Neill obviously lost the title in 2005, and if we believe in the sort of fairy tale and redemption arc or whatever, could it be that's where he exercises the ghost of that?
Love it.
I was listening to Clyde on the way over for my sins, and they were just talking about, I think a caller phoned up and said, would Motherwell lie down to Hearts on Saturday because the rest of the out with the big 2, it'd be something new so that Hearts could go and win the title. And then the panel said, well, what have you flipped it? And Bertolasco is a shoe-in for the Celtic job, so does he lie down so they can get Champions League football?
Yeah.
I don't think any of that will really matter, but yeah, it would be great if, like Stu says, if they could even get a point on Saturday, and then you would hope that momentum would then swing to us as long as we beat Rangers on Sunday, that we would go there knowing that if we beat them and then we just have to beat Hearts, it's done, and it kind of narrows the focus of what you have to do at that point. So yeah, I probably never really understood the cliche growing up about one game at a time, but this is really sort of between the eyes to say this is what you need to do.
Do you know what I was thinking about the other day when, I've said it the other day, my arse went big time, like with the split. I was like, I can't do this. I don't have a stomach for the run in. I think I probably would if Celtic had been good all season. I think that's what's making me really struggle with it, that you just don't know what you're getting game to game. But I thought about the split in terms of, like, you know how people like American sports, there's some cynics that like American things.
Not for me, but
you know what, and it feels like a post-season, like that everything that came up to the split was just to get you into the playoffs, and now this is kind of like really where the rubber hits the road, and Rangers have like gone out in the first round essentially, and it might culminate in this big like Super Bowl playoff final between the top 2 teams. If that helps anyone cope. Doesn't do anything.
Doesn't really do anything for me. To be honest, it's taken away
from a big foam hand at Celtic Park last game of the season.
We're number 1.
Cheese dog.
On the opening,
not another penny.
On the cheese dog. On the opening question, if you can control one thing, I would say consistency in the referees for all games, right? And I know that's obviously...
Do not say realistic?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. But that does bring us on to the game at the weekend. We want to talk about the victory at Easter Road. Thoughts on the game, Stu? Obviously, it was a couple of days ago, but, thoughts?
I think... It's no different than any other game we've watched recently, where it just feels like you've been put through a fucking meat grinder watching it. And fool me once, but
fool me 4,000
times. After we scored that goal, I was like, right, here we go. We're gonna get rolling now. And fuck me, man, they just don't have it in them. They have it in them to win games, but I don't understand for the life of me why they can't just make it comfortable for once.
Did you feel like it was an opportunity missed when they went down to 10?
Yeah, very much so. And I actually thought we were really good 11 against 11. Yeah. And then I felt like the goal was going to come, and there wasn't really in that sort of, maybe it was 15 minutes between the red card and the goal, something like that. I didn't feel like we're not playing quickly enough, we're not creating enough. I felt like we kind of were, and then we got the goal, and I was like, right, here we go. And then a team that has it in them to make 4 catastrophic defensive errors, not really, really close. Like, you're talking about maybe over a 45-second to a minute period where everyone is just at the circus. And then also you get the bad luck of the terrible VAR decision, and you're like, oh, this is going to be another one of them. And then the second half was just so nervy. I was coming back up from Newcastle, and I was watching the game on my phone on the way up, and then we were in a service station when Iheanacho scored, and I swore, and I got in trouble off my wife.
Got checked.
Clamped.
Well, that's the sacrifices you make,
That's
getting
it.
checked. Barry, what about yourself? What did you make of the game? Stuart kind of summed it up there, but is there anything you could maybe use to take forward? Maybe Iheanacho thoughts?
Yeah, probably Iheanacho would be the main one. Obviously, I still don't think, because I don't think I actually played that well after the goal.
It gave the ball away consistently.
And then that's the one thing that I think has been strong in his game, about that, the ball kind of sticking to him and bringing others in. But yeah, his finish was exceptional. It felt like he had all the time in the world, and maybe that was the case with Hibs defending. But
have you ever seen anyone chest the ball so high in your life?
I know, and then just slot it away. It's like, so yeah, and I suppose that performance in the first sort of half of the first quarter maybe, where we were kind of doing all the things that you've become accustomed over the last 5 or 6 years. We were pressing well. Thought Dyson was impressive again. I know we'll come on to it, but I was enthused that he seems to be okay. I thought Engels was industrious. He's made such a difference, even maybe not on the ball, but even just the legs he gives you. He's helped McGregor out there. But I suppose in terms of the things that have been apparent all season that are more latterly this part of the season, I thought Nygren was really poor again.
Very.
Kind of wasteful. I thought Yang got into some good positions, but his delivery was shocking. There was one he could have just cut back to Nygren, but it took too long. Other than that, AJ, I thought it was good. I was worried when that tackle went in, because it was one of those ones you kind of wince a wee bit when you see where he catches him, but I thought he got up and down the line well. So the main positive for me probably out with Iheanacho is having two of our best players, I would say, in Johnson and Engels, back and sort of finding form, because I think they could be crucial. They're big game players, and you don't get any bigger than the 3 games still to come.
I thought AJ was such a difference maker. I thought his overlapping was, he just drives.
Different dimension, isn't it?
Very, very different dimension. I thought his ball for Dyson was really great for the goal. The finish from Iheanacho, very good. The VAR decisions, look, we've discussed it on the agenda. If you sign up for the Cynic, we record the agenda every Monday, and that usually is where we look at the big decisions over the weekend. We also had a reaction to the game, so you could also listen back to that. But the VAR decisions, we talk about it briefly, Stuart, just baffling.
Yeah, really, really bad. Obviously, the goal is maybe the worst offender, although I think the penalty is just as bad. And see, the irony that the justification was, well, if you're not absolutely conclusive, you've got to give the goal. I was like, well, it wasn't that almost exactly a year ago at the same fucking end of the ground when Alistair Johnson had a goal disallowed that you couldn't decide.
That's right, yeah.
So I don't understand why in this occasion the attacker gets the benefit of the doubt. It feels like that's very, very rare that happens.
Yeah.
And then the double-handed push, or it's Nygren, isn't it? Yeah, because he goes down like a flannel. Of course, it was Nygren. It's the exact same challenge that Taneki makes to give away the free kick that leads to the goal, just in the box, and he's not looking at the ball. He's nowhere near the ball, and they didn't even check it. And like, what's going on here?
Yeah, something's no right. Am I right, Barry?
You are right.
Get the tinfoil hats on.
Yes. I think Stu's right. I also thought the Dyson one in the first, see when the keeper, I know the keeper kind of gets a touch at first, but I thought he put him down when it could have been a penalty. And yeah, he's one of the worst ones for me. David Dickinson.
He's the one where, was it behind Clement, you can see him like properly smiling and having a laugh in a joke.
Yeah, and there's a few stories about him. And that hairdo as well. I can't really complain about anyone with not having it, but if I had hair I wouldn't have it like that.
Well, that's it. Get it done, shave it off.
Yeah, but he's one of those sort of posturing refs. Like, he obviously, like, he's quite muscular or whatever, and he likes to puff his chest out. I'm like, a good ref shouldn't be seen. No. Seen and not heard. Well, you did hear them because of the whistle. but yeah, and also just on see when Nygren was pushed off the ball, at first I was like, you never get those, but as Stu says, it was like blatant, and you see the picture of him, and plus that Campbell who does it, who's then has Dyson by the neck, he's just a horrible rat.
He is a prick, guy.
Yeah, Campbell's soup. Oh, there we go. Campbell's soup takers. Yeah.
Oh, look.
I'm just warming up.
Yeah.
I think that if you didn't watch the game and you just heard that Celtic won 2-1, you'd be like, delightful, great, that's brilliant. Tough away game. We've been so bad away from home, and you've got away with one, great. But I think when you watch the game and in the context, it's just another game of like, you're probably up to like 20 odd games this year where Celtic have created a bunch of chances and just looked utterly toothless. And we are looking better. We're looking a bit sharper, creating a bit more, which is positive.
Do you think that comes down to personnel though, rather than team cohesion?
Personnel and just being at the crunch. I think it's like we've started games a lot quicker and with a lot more intensity, and I feel like we've still not really put together in 90 minutes, but we're getting more. But see, at the end of the game, Celtic just looked petrified, absolutely petrified.
So a lot of kind of kicking the ball up in the air and stuff.
Oh, very much so. And then that chance that they had at the end, we got pretty lucky as well.
Yeah.
So, Ian Crocker was willing that in, wasn't he?
Sure is.
I just wonder what happens between each game in terms of, look, we know that there's nerves here. We're going to try and, work on that. We'll try and work on away. I don't know. It's almost like they had a plan 11v11 and it went down to 10 men, which should be an advantage. Kind of throw it through us a little bit, and I don't know. Anyway, look, we've got big stuff coming up.
One last thing I would say to that is that I think that maybe say 6 weeks ago, nobody was stepping up and everyone was looking for someone to be like, oh, well, at least they're playing well, they'll go and win the game. And now I feel like Dyson in particular has almost gone like, right, just stick the team on my back, I'll go. And then that's bringing, and Engels being back is bringing out the best in McGregor, so you're getting a bit more of that. Johnson being in there, you've got big characters that kind of know how to get these things over the line, so obviously that's going to be really, really important over the next couple of games. Yeah,
there was rumours, the rumour mill was in full flow yesterday talking about potentially Dyson may have broken his foot, which I think...
love the rumour mill.
You
You grind that mill like no one else.
do not. Come on, that's terrible. We all love it. Like Barry's a big fan. But here's some quotes from Martin O'Neill. Dyson's making good progress. That's good news. He is definitely doing well.
Rest in peace.
We've got a few days yet. He'll want to play. There's no doubt at all about it. He's had a new lease of life in recent weeks. He's been terrific. So I think that even at this early stage of the week, this was yesterday, I'd be very confident that he would be on the field. Rangers now are quite a few points behind Hearts. We are talking about 3 games left, so that would be difficult to overcome at this particular stage. I think that's the case. It's not impossible. It can happen. You can still win your games. And again, strangely enough, there's some very difficult matches for us all to come through. From our own position, we have to try and win the 3 games. Even that, strangely enough, at this minute, mathematically might not be enough. But I still think there's a couple of twists still left. If you're looking at it from the viewpoint of what you can do, all we can do is attempt to win our games, which are very difficult. And even if that was the case, with Hearts having a better goal difference than us, then I suppose probably deep down, I was looking for a draw. So, the Rangers and Hearts game at Tynecastle. A draw, very difficult to cheer on, but it was. I think that was the case because that would put it in our own hands. As it turns out, mathematically speaking, it's not actually in our own hands. Did you watch the Rangers? And I'm pretty sure every Celtic fan would have been watching it. What did you make of it? Is there anything we can look at that and take away from? It
was so difficult to reconfigure your brain because when Rangers scored, I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, but I was like, actually, this is not a bad thing. And then when Hearts scored, I was obviously naturally delighted to sound like Mark Real, naturally delighted. But then you're like, oh, fuck, this isn't actually that good for us. But I suppose from our point of view, I thought Hearts were really stunk the place out in the first half. I thought, like, if Rangers win this, I could see Hearts probably not winning another game the rest of the season because of how poor they were. But in sort of contrast to what we and Rangers don't have, McInnes changed things. And I thought Blair Spittle came on and he really changed the game for them. They were clinical. I thought Shankland, I don't like him, but I thought he took his goal really well. And Rangers just ran out of steam. It was almost like a game of 2 halves. What Rangers had a worse performance than Hearts did in the first half. You know what I mean? And then obviously you've got Rangers hitting the bar, didn't they, with that header? And you're like, oh, do I want that to go in?
I know, yeah.
And I just thought they utterly shat the bed second half. Rangers, like you could see Butland, Tavernier, all the usual suspects. Raskin I thought was absolutely hopeless. And I don't understand the buzz around him, and I'm seeing that Rangers fans are starting to like saying like
Raskin?
Yeah.
Never seen it.
They're starting to see like he thinks he's a hard man, but he can't back it up. And so yeah, you would hope that if we can take advantage of that, like we could see the gaps that they had. I thought in between like their two fullbacks, they looked really wide open. Tavernier, and he's come back in, but I thought he was really, really poor. It was really funny starting saying he had the heart of
a pea.
And no one really kind of stepped in. Like I think that kind of tells its own story. No one was wanting to defend him. In terms of Hearts, again, I don't think. Obviously, they're top of the league and they have been for a very long time, but I don't see a style of play there as such. It's more kind of in your face, kind of rough and ready. And obviously, they do have kind of game changers or game winners, but I think if you were to take it from Celtic's point of view, I think we would we could beat them both on that showing. Obviously, we were hoping they'll do that, but yeah, it was a strange feeling watching that game. Like I didn't really know how to be, and much like Stuart said earlier, I felt really flat after it, like really deflated. Because one thing I will say though, I thought Hearts maybe over-egged the pudding with that 3 to go flashing up.
Yeah.
And McInnes, I know he does that every game, but running up and down the touchline. I was just hoping these are the kind of things that will be played if they don't win it.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of hoping that they have kind of, I'm going to say shot their load, but you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, I watched the game in Tennants, which is a pub I mean big Neely. But no, it's a pub I don't ever frequent. There was some Rangers fans, there was some Hearts fans, and there was lots of Celtic fans. And it was odd when Rangers scored. It was like, I don't know what to do. I'm never cheating it. Then when Hearts equalised, I thought, okay, this is fine. Just everyone stop playing football. Let's just let it go.
Take it into the corner.
That's it. And then that Shankland finish, it was very good. And I think they have someone who, in those positions, I think is as clinical as anyone in the league, probably more so. I wish we had someone like that, Stuart.
Well, my takeaway from it is that I know that Hearts don't play particularly attractive football, but I think that Hearts team has a lot of stuff that the Celtic team doesn't have, in that they're obviously very physically robust, very good at defending. They are just like ruthless in front of goal, where they maybe only generated like 2 chances in that game and they scored them both and they've won the game, whereas we're the complete opposite, where you have to kind of make 10 and maybe you'll score 1. Yeah. And then also I just think that what they have, and this is maybe more of a cumulative effect of how the season's gone, is just they have 100% buy-in from absolutely every player, is like killing themselves running about that park. So no real passengers, whereas I do think that oftentimes Celtic do have passengers. If it's not Nygren, it's Tanetke. If it's not Tanetke, maybe it's Yang on a bad day. And I feel like even though the overall, call it skill level if you want, of those players in the Heart squad, they do appear to have some sort of weird lightning in a bottle that's lifting their level. And I just think that makes them quite dangerous. Certainly if, for example, we're talking about a one-on-one sort of shootout between the two teams on the last day of the season, I think that context would be key. But I think that they would give us a game, and I think that if they do go and win on Saturday, and if they win against Falkirk, I think it would be difficult to take it away from them, as in like,
I would find it difficult.
Well,
fuck them.
I get that. I absolutely do get that. But I just mean that, like, over the piece, they have been just extremely consistent with those things.
I mean, if they win the league, they will have deserved to win the league. But also,
and that's within the context of how poor Celtic and Rangers have been. I get that.
But also, if we win the league, we'll have deserved to win the league. Yeah. I mean, it really is. I know they might have been more consistent and all that, but fuck them. Like, see, when I look at that Hearts side, right, there is no, if we're talking about rebuilding Celtic, which we're going to have to do, there is not one player in that team that I think I would take.
Well, that scuppers our Mark Leonard chat later, doesn't it? That's that fucked.
Well, that brings me into the Mark Leonard chat, actually, we'll come back to the Mark Leonard chat, right?
See, just on that as well, like, that's the first time I think I've watched, other than against us, a full Hearts game.
Yeah.
And I was really like, I know this could probably come back and haunt me, but Braga, I was expecting a lot more from him.
He's dropped off.
I think he has dropped off, and Casaridis even more so.
Casaridis is absolutely not the player it was at the start of the season.
Maybe they've just kind of, because they've been so consistent, run himself on the ground maybe.
I think there is some suggestion that even they're not really being given the same freedom, because I know that when they had that sort of wobble of form, a lot of Hearts fans were critical of how McInnes was setting up the team and that they were being a bit more defensive. I wonder if that'll get in their head, whether they go to Motherwell and they just try and sit in and try and not concede, because Motherwell are obviously more than happy to take the game to them.
I think they were at their best, Braga and Casaridis, when they were free flowing, and it was that sort of there's no parameters. As soon as you become a sort of favourite for the title, then I think everything tightens, and every time you give the ball away, it's a loss of possession. Whereas before it was trying to be creative. And I think that kind of plays with them. I think Derek McInnes is a dreadful football manager, and no matter what happens this season, I will stand by it. I think he's a terrible man manager. I've heard that there's a guy I know who's a Kelly fan, and he talked about what he did to David Watson and stuff like that, and his management just been really, really poor. So I think if you look at Casaridis and you look at Braga, these aren't guys I don't think I would take for Celtic. Maybe Braga, where we are, but where I want us to be, they probably wouldn't come into the conversation. But I think it comes down to how they're being managed.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you something, in terms of, you were mentioning chances that we made. Celtic had 26 shots, but only 6 on target.
It's not great.
Hearts had 11 shots and 5 of them were on target.
That's actually more chances than I thought they'd created.
Yeah.
What about Rangers?
Rangers had 13 shots and 3 on target.
Well, speaking of shite football managers, my honest to God main takeaway was astonished at how Danny Rule was managing that team in the second half, where it's so abundantly clear what had happened. It wasn't like, I know that McInnes was getting a lot of praise afterwards for recognising the problem, changing it, putting an extra midfielder in, but it wasn't. It was so obvious that I was like, well, surely they'll counteract that in some way. And then to just let it play out the way that it did and only really change stuff when you were behind and creating nothing, and then take off their main sort of threat in like a Mikey Moore. And I don't know, your head would be on Mars, as the kids say.
Yeah.
It's not even the worst decision he's made this year, though, because that T-shirt he had on holiday was fucking
that's come back to haunt him.
What was it he said? The aura of a boiled chicken.
It's a gigantic T-shirt.
It is.
Gigantic. In terms of Celtic future-wise, I got another question for you. What are the chances that we have another 3-way title challenge similar to this next season, Stuart? Is this a one-off?
I don't think it's a one-off in terms of perhaps Hearts maybe separating themselves from Aberdeen, Hibs. Motherwell will be interested in whatever happens post.
So the top
Askew.
6 becomes almost
like a two-tiered system. I think that all the signs are there that Rangers are on that meme wheel where Danny Rule is doing the exact same thing. They're going to give him a summer. It's not going to start well, and then they're going to sack him by like autumn of next year.
Well, they're linking him with Wolfsburg at the moment.
There's a lot of that chat, but it feels so weird and destabilising. And like, fine, fuck it, do what you like. But it just seems so odd that a team that are not exactly swimming in money, I know they've had a lot of investment, but you can't just keep paying off managers. And they also have like a pretty substantial rebuild in the summer, because a lot of their players are loanees or
A lot of people coming back
going out. So I don't think that he's performed badly enough for them to cut ties just now.
I think they might.
Think so?
I think they might. And now, obviously, we don't know for sure, but I think if the 49ers or whatever, if they really want to, I think you'll be able to tell whether they are going to be actively trying to make Rangers something, or whether they'll go, we had a chance here. Let him roll with it, if you will. But I think they might. I think they might cut him.
Yeah.
Barry,
I agree. I think, and God willing, when it does happen, I think we would have a resounding victory over them on Sunday.
Maybe, yeah.
I think he might not even see out the season.
Yeah, maybe. Big Barry back in charge.
Yeah, that's true. But sorry, you go.
No, I was just going to say, I was just going to come back to that question where I think that given the scale of the rebuild that we have, if Hearts win the league, for example, I don't think that will have an enormous impact financially, because I think they will be where they are. I wouldn't necessarily expect Hearts to get into the Champions League, even though they've got the qualifying berth. But I think that with Celtic and Rangers still in such a state of instability, and Hearts having a bedrock of a squad that could be competitive again, if Celtic, for example, get their managerial appointment wrong, and if Rangers do have that trajectory where they have to replace their manager again, I think it's possible that it's not a one-off and that you might see that it's a different sort of landscape now in Scotland. Which is good for us, I think, because you have to try and hold the board accountable and keep them honest and recognise that they have to invest in the team and they have to invest in how we do things.
I think if we have another season like this where they get the manager appointment wrong, or it's, they give it to Martin O'Neill, who, with all due respect, I think is maybe not a more prominent modern football manager, or they bring someone like Robbie Keane in, it splits the fan base. I don't think he's very good anyway, and that falls in its arse. Barry, if there is another season like this, if they think they've had to deal with pressure from the support this season, a second season in a row like this, I think, would tip everyone over the edge.
Yeah, absolutely. And Stu mentioned there about Hearts. I probably agree that they won't get into the Champions League as well, but I think they'll maybe, if they were to win the league, I think it kind of expedites Bloom's plans, doesn't it? And I think they would maybe go to the next level up of signings. So I think they maybe go to the sort of £1.5-2 million signing, and if their analytics are as good as I'm led to believe, then it probably wouldn't take that much money to be successful, because they've done it. And you see their lineup, it's maybe 4 or 5 players in the squad, maybe a bit more than that, who have come through the sort of Jamestown analytics. The rest are still very much Scottish players that McInnes has known. So
let me ask you this. Yeah. If Hearts do, and fingers crossed they do, blow it, do you think they patch McInnes?
I think so, yeah.
I think McInnes is going to get the Scotland job after the World Cup. I've said that
I think
for
that's
most of the season.
What about if, let's flip it again, what if they get in before us and take Bertolaska?
I think that would be genuinely pretty terrifying. That would be a legitimately scary proposition.
Yeah.
I can't really see a set of circumstances, though, that would allow...
I think he's
McInnes is going to be like build a statue sort of stuff if they win the league, and I think that he would dictate the terms of his exit, and I can't imagine that it's going to be before the World Cup or before Bertolaska's future was resolved. And of the three, I'd be more concerned about Rangers picking up Bertolaska than
I think he probably has a chance at the Celtic job, Bertolaska, but I also think that he probably has his eye on England, even if it is the Championship, just because, he come from Scandinavia, big English football fans, all that stuff, that culture.
Played in England, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. That's right. Was it Norwich? I think.
So,
yeah.
Maybe there's something to be said for just getting him to get out. Like, I'm not interested in this brand of football anymore. Get back to hammer throwing. That's
good football's rubbish, isn't it? It's overrated.
I forgot what it's like. I know.
So the transfer gossip. It came out this week that Celtic have Mark Leonard's on their radar. The 24-year-old midfielder. He's currently at Birmingham. He's on loan at Hearts. My expectations of him in terms of what I thought he was going to be like was based on a lot of stat stuff where it's like I've seen, like, there was Birmingham fans saying he's the best defensive midfielder in the Championship, and he's not played a lot of games, but he's got everything going for him. So my expectations of him coming in was like, oh, that's quite a good signing for Hearts. Not being impressed with him particularly. He's not done anything. Even that Rangers game, I was like, there's nothing here. Mark Leonard, is there anything about him that you would go, oh, is there anything excite you about that?
I'm maybe a wee bit more hot on him than you were, because when I heard he was coming, I thought he was just going to be like a stopper, but I think he is. He's got a good range of passing.
A good dig on him.
Yeah, I feel like I'm, again, caveat that I have no hair, but I can't have someone playing for Celtic with that fringe.
Oh, I know, man. Stinking in it.
Yeah, and he was an ex-Rangers youth, wasn't he? I know that doesn't really...
He's got Rangers written all over him.
He does. Leonard never changes his spots.
That soup one got you warmed up in there. Yeah.
But yeah, if that's, you've mentioned, and we've said, I think everyone's talking about it now, even ex-players and stuff, the size of the job that Celtic have to do. If he's one of your, I know it doesn't really matter what order signings come in, but if he's one of your first signings, then it would just fill me with dread that we're only looking at him because of he's right under our nose. So yeah, I wouldn't be enthused with that. If he was a squad player, I saw some people talking this week, he could be like...
You need to stop saying squad player.
Yeah, the understudy to McGregor. We know that doesn't work, so no, I would want ambitions much higher than him.
Squad players become, with all due respect, Liam Scales, who becomes...
the club captain. What
about yourself, Mark Leonard?
I think that a player like Mark Leonard would probably be quite expensive. Chris Wilder was up watching him at the weekend, and I think he would be competing with championship clubs on who could offer championship wages. I understand that.
Is he still at Sheffield United?
He's at Birmingham. He's on loan.
No, I mean Chris Wilder.
Sorry, yeah. He leaves and comes back every 6 months.
Every 6 months or whatever.
It's like Christmas.
I'll be like us, I'm Martin O'Neill.
I know. I think that it's one that suited Hearts at the time because obviously Cammy Devlin was injured and he was an ex-Hearts youth, so maybe it's a more natural fit. Again, yeah, I kind of agree that I would prefer us to hopefully have like a higher bar, although I think that we sort of need to pick a lane where you can't look over the fence at Jamestown Analytics and be like, oh, I wish we were more data driven and got people, and then when they have the player that's got the best underlying stats and data and he's come in and he's played almost every game for him, almost every minute for them since he's come up, and then be like, oh, he's not good enough, I want Paolo Bernardo. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, I get that. I think, but I think it comes down to what Barry says. He's under our nose.
Yeah,
like Mark Leonard. Celtic are looking at Mark Leonard because he plays for Hearts. They're not looking at him because they think he's the best player in his position that we can get.
Yeah,
that's my issue. The other player we've been linked with is Barney Stewart. 22-year-old, was literally playing for Stirling University, I think, like 18 months ago. I think he's a really good player in that role for Falkirk. I think he's really impressive. I mean, what are we doing? Do you know what I mean?
It makes me think of like a old kind of battering ram back in black and white footage. See that path?
Here comes Barney Stewart coming down the wing.
Hurrah! I have been impressed with him, but again, the calibre of player that we need, I would want much higher standards than that. And again, I totally agree. I don't want to sign squad players. I want the first team players just now. Oh, I'd like a lot of them to go, but even your better players just now, I feel like you can always upgrade on them. Yeah. And how you create a good squad is if you bring in someone on a level with Engels who can overtake him.
Challenge him, yeah.
And then you're happy to see Engels go because you've got someone who is of the same quality. But all the noises coming out, I don't know, it's kind of silly season rumour-wise, but all the noises coming out of Celtic Park just now is worrying. It's not allaying any of the fears that things are going to change and we're going to look into data and better scouting, because it just seems to be the players in the league who have performed above average, not even had kind of breakout seasons.
It's, I'm not going to sit here and criticise Barney Stewart because I think he's a really good footballer at the level he's at. I'm sure he could go up levels, but Stewart, it doesn't feel like him starting for Celtic next season is going to improve. You can't go from even a poorly performing Daisen Maeda to Barney Stewart. Or can you? I don't know.
No, I think that there is definitely a line where, if you look at the Lennon Miller situation, where if Celtic had signed Lennon Miller maybe the season before he moves to Italy, maybe you are sitting with like a player that could be a starter for Celtic for the next 10 years. But so we shouldn't be cut off to picking up sort of young Scottish talent. But I think, again, context is important. That where is he going to fit in? He is going to be a squad player. There's in no world is he going to be like the starting striker for Celtic. And I think that if we are going to have quote unquote squad players, I'd prefer them to be the likes of a Callum Osmond, for example. He's a squad player because he's maybe your third choice, but he's going to get minutes and he's exciting and he's good.
Scottish Cup semi,
and he can maybe handle big occasions, all these sorts of things. Whereas I think that the current definition of a squad player, if you look at that signing, reminds me of like Luke McCowan, where it's sort of like, I will pick up the best of the rest on the cheap. And I think that when you transplant the best of the rest into that setup, you do quite quickly see their limitations.
Yeah.
And then obviously, if a lot of your better players are moving around them, that's how you end up in, all due respect, the Liam Scales situation. Even players like Yang, who has no right, he's had a very impressive season by the bar that he's set. He has no right being like the nailed on
Celtic's
go-to right winger, because game to game you just don't know what you're getting, and like move like minute to minute it feels like he doesn't know quite what he's doing, but everything's at 100 miles an hour, and sometimes it's amazing and you're like, fucking hell, that was so good, but most of the time you're like, well, that was good, and then shite when he's run out the park.
I mean, someone like Gang, you look at and you go, there's a lot of potential here in the right system with the right players in front of him, but I just move him on. Like, get your money for him. Yeah. I like him a lot. I think he's a good player, but there's next season, I think, no matter, and see, the best vision for next season, there's still going to be lots of upheaval.
Yeah.
And I don't think a young player like Yang, I know maybe he's not young, he's 24, but like, just get 5 million for him, get 6 million for him now. Maybe you would have got 2 million from before, maybe you get 5 or 6 now. Yeah. And use that money to put back in the squad, because let me tell you, Celtic have scouted a little-known player called Scott McKenna. He's a 29-year-old internationalist. He plays in Croatia. It's just this thing saying we've scouted him 4 times in the last 2 months. We know. I could sit and write a fucking scouting report about Scott McKenna.
Yeah, that's just worrying.
Yeah, it's the worrying, Barry. It comes back into that aspect of it's worrying. He's 29. We've had oodles of chances to sign him. They were talking about 10 million quid. Aye.
Yeah, no, I'd be really disappointed again if we signed him. I've never, of all the years that he's been out with us, when he was at Aberdeen and he was at Forest, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And then he went to Spain, I think.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
He's always got a good agent to get him all these moves, but he's quick, he's big, but I've never really been impressed with him. I always remember, kind of main memories of him was when he used to always have those tussles with Morelos, remember? I think he's done okay for Scotland from whatever I've seen of him, but
doesn't play it as often, really. But
centre half has been a problem position for us for years. Out with CCV, I know that Trusty has his moments. He's been good at points. Sometimes, if it goes against him, he kind of crumbles on the park. And you know that if we were to put a big outlay, I think even 3 or 4 million on McKenna would be too much for me. That he is probably going to come in and start. And again, he's left-footed. Like, how many are crying out for a right-sided centre half? So no, I would be really disappointed if that was the kind of centre half ambitions for us this summer.
You're the same, right?
I fucking hate it. I hate it, Christopher. I want no part of that. That is none of my business.
See, just to get back in, the fact that he's at Zagreb, remember they were heavily linked with Craig Taylor. I think they were just the manager, like, get me a Scot.
Get me a Scottish
Anyone.
guy. Nygren, Benjamin Nygren, Celtic's Player of the Year and Players Player of the Year, of course, and top goal scorer. Enigma. He got the old tweet from your man, Fabrizio Romano. He's gone, eh?
I think so. I think it's really evident that his agent's working his ticket, and fair enough. I think that, see if he goes, I honestly think that Benjamin Nygren could end up, starring at the World Cup in that Sweden team and could go and have a really good career somewhere, but he's just so annoying. And all power to him. I'm so grateful for his goals and his contributions, but it's a sad state of affairs when Celtic's Player of the Year probably shouldn't be starting at the weekend. And if you can bring a player like that in for whatever it was less than 2 million, was it not? It was around
like 1.5 or something. Yeah,
I think my prediction, my hot take, my lock of the week is that I think he's going to go for like 18 plus million. I think they're going to clean up on him.
That I said between 15 and 18. That was my kind of good. I
thought. Mean, and that this is actually something that there's 2 things actually. I've been quite negative. 2 things that I'm quite positive about. If you want like nice hoodoos. Sweden were in the exact same situation as Celtic might be going into the last game where they had to win by X margin in order to. Nygren came up with 2 assists in that game that took them to the World Cup. My other thing is that Celtic have so many shite players that could go down in folklore as cult heroes, a la Harold Bratback, that makes me think that I don't know.
I'm
Someone's
talking about
gonna
a
pop
whole
up.
team.
I know. So
Squad.
that's what I mean. There's a brass ring. Who wants it? You've been rotting all season, but come on down. I'm not going to say Joel and Booker, but you know what I mean. Someone. Who would it be? I don't know. Anyone. Literally could be anyone.
He's talking to himself, like.
I know.
Cam Osmond.
Oh, Calbot. The other.
Aussie, as they were calling him.
Oh, yeah.
It's not for me.
Aussie and Fuzzy.
Definitely not for me. With the other kind of big news, well, not big news, but the other kind of news is about Arnie Engels again. Barry, it looks like there's suitors from England, from Serie A, from La Liga. Nottingham Forest probably back in again. What's your take on that? Is it again? He's going, right?
I think so, yeah. And in any normal situation or circumstances, that's 2 seasons we've had of him. And if you probably double your money, paid 11 for him, get something early 20. Did Forest go to 25?
Forest 2025. I think.
I don't think you'll maybe get. I don't think it'll go as much as that.
I think our board will start there. Whether we go right, we get 25 for him in the summer, so that's where the offers start. Because I think they're deluded.
I think probably only England would pay that for him, though. I don't think if Leipzig want him, I think they would maybe the maximum they would go would be 20.
Aye, maybe.
We were talking about this the other day. I think that Forest are probably going to sell Elliot Anderson for 80, 90, 100 million.
Yeah.
And whilst I don't think Engels is going to go in and be the replacement for Elliot Anderson, I think that sort of money allows you to buy a premium replacement and then
25 million,
have Engels as your understudy or your backup.
Engels, I like him. I know a lot of people are frustrated with him because he maybe doesn't have the output in terms of goals and assists.
I like him too.
But I like the profile of him. I like how he's physical. I like what the ground he covers. I think he really does have a good delivery, both set plays and in game. And I think if he was to go, I probably think he has the profile to go to England, I think, and do fairly well. But I think if he was to go to La Liga or maybe back to Germany, you would see the best of him in those types of leagues because I think he is cultured. And I don't have any problem with him going. I think we have had good performances out of him. I thought he was really good in some of the Champions League games last season. I think at Villa Park he was really good, and also in the Allianz against Bayern. So I wish him all the best, but it's typical of the Celtic board that they would probably use the money brought in from Engels and Nygren to start the rebuild when we still have that pot of money there. It's like, no, that money's untouchable. We have to sell to buy, and we probably wouldn't even spend every penny of it either, even though we need to, and some more. So what are we talking if we think 18 for... I think...
You're talking about the guts of £40 million for those two, and that's before you factor in Dyson presumably leaving, Rio presumably leaving, and then probably like 4 or 5 players that you've forgotten about, your Lewis Palmas, your Mike Navrotskis, that
Lewis Palma, Mike Navrotskis, I think
a couple of million here or there.
And then if you're saying maybe 5 or 6 million for Yang,
stuff like that, man, it can end up being like 60 million.
And then there's always one that might surprise you, like AJ, if he finishes strong and has a good World Cup.
I've got a feeling AJ might have at least options, whether he takes it or not, I don't know.
Remember he was linked this time last year with Inter Milan?
Yeah,
that's right.
He does seem like, do you know what, if I say this he'll get linked away tomorrow. I just think he's like, does really feel at home at the club. I think that someone like Carter Vickers is in the same boat, but maybe through circumstance where I think
he'd be away already. I think
people won't touch him because of his injury record, and that this might be as good as it gets for someone like Cameron Carter Vickers, whereas Johnson has probably a higher ceiling.
I think Trusty might go in the summer as well.
Well, that's another one. He was linked away to Italy, wasn't he?
Yeah.
That's where he comes alive.
Yeah.
We've been linked with Elijah just again. Like it's kind of ramping up. Apparently, we watched him a couple of times. I think he's a good player. I think a bit of a no-brainer. Yeah, interesting. We'll see what happens there, depending on the manager, of course. Season ticket renewals out. Barry, delay to the final day.
Absolutely. I just think, did they really have to? I know people are saying it's only 3% increase, but the season we've had, like, I think I put in the group chat maybe about a month ago the clip from Goodfellas where it's, so your house burnt down, fuck you, pay me. Like that. It's just that, like,
you don't care.
We fucked up. You're going to pay for the rebuild. You're going to pay for all the things that you want. And then obviously, not to jump too far ahead, but people getting fucked out the standing section. without any prior notice.
Yeah, absolutely. So there was a lot of discussion in chat over the weekend because people were receiving... In fact, I'll read out, this is from the Celtic Fans Collective. Last week, Celtic Football Club took a decision which will significantly impact supporters. In this case, the relocation of fans within the rail seating section without prior consultation or clear communication. Around 170 season ticket holders received an unsigned email on Friday afternoon informing them that while they would be able to renew their season tickets, they would not be able to remain in their current seats. The communication provided little clarity around relocation arrangements, including whether supporters attending together would remain together. Throughout the season, the club has repeatedly demonstrated that its communications are lacking and its supporter engagement model is fundamentally broken. While we understand further clarification for the club will follow soon, that does not exclude the manner in which this was communicated in the first place. Any attempt to improve the atmosphere or matchday experience should be welcomed, but it must also be carried out with respect for all supporters and proper engagement with those affected. Just days after further public comments from Chairman Brian Wilson regarding communication, engagement and togetherness between the club and supporters, this situation once again highlights the disconnect between those statements and the reality experienced by supporters. The club must now commit, as a matter of urgency, to a transparent and democratic supporter engagement model capable of properly representing supporter concerns, resolving fan issues and holding the board accountable. Stuart, just another act of complete self-sabotage by the club.
Yeah, it's just not being very good at doing things. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that they probably look at that and going, people will love that. We're putting all the ultras together. That'll improve the atmosphere, but they haven't thought about the people that are impacted by it. And yeah, my main takeaway from it, aside from that, is for anyone that's been critical about the Celtic Fan Collective this season, this is what it's for. This is for, we talked about it all season. One day they'll come for you. If it's not, the ultras, and if you're not backing the Green Brigade because you don't like them, that's fine. But one day they're going to come and fuck you out your seat. And then who do you want in your corner? And if it's the people that you think are like, I don't know, terrorists or whatever, or they're only there to sort of sow seeds of dissent, this is what it's for.
Yeah.
So good that they've spoken out about it. Correct that it will probably improve the atmosphere in the ground and that maybe it is a step towards the Celtic end and all that sort of project, but it's just so haphazardly done, and that's how the club operate at all levels, and it's so obvious that that's how they operate at all levels. If you that's no different to how they conduct transfers, but it's just how they communicate things.
Yeah, absolutely. Barry, any thoughts?
Yeah, I actually am kind of reading some comments from people in the kind of standing section. If they'd offered people the chance to relocate, some might have taken it.
Yeah.
Like, they might have said, right, we can do this for you, whatever. Not even, see the way they worded it, like, so positive, like, your seat is guaranteed. Like, fucking right it is.
I know.
Yeah, like, oh, well done, you. Like, yeah, but, yeah, there's ways to treat people, and Celtic don't tend to do it very well at any area, apart from bonuses for the fat cats on the board.
Not another penny, absolutely. But the new strip's a belter.
Yeah, it's pretty good, but I think it's indicative of just how everyone feels. But well, maybe it's not. Maybe it's indicative of how I feel. When I saw it, I was like, "Yeah, that is good," but I'm not buying that. No. And then also, it's so funny, like the little things. I don't know if you saw the thing where Carter Vickers has got the boots and it's like the kind of painted on. That's like a nice touch. Why does Cameron Carter Vickers look like he's been held at gunpoint in a wheelchair? It's just absolutely crazy.
Like those boots are like so hot.
I know.
And fun.
And I don't know if they think it's like cool and edgy, but like fucking hell, man.
See, one other thing that I hate as well, like I hate how, and I guess they're probably doing it to see it can be like streetwear, but I hate when they're wearing like big fucking joggies with it. Like, it just looks so ridiculous. And then the big flag that they're wearing as a cape, I thought, what is going on there?
Bizarre. Anyway, not another penny. We're fully behind it, and we'll see what happens. And as we say, the Celtic Collective, they've got a website. You can check it out. You can sign up, get all the emails, come along and stuff. As Stuart said, they are for us and for you. We've got a couple of fun features we'll probably leave till, I don't know.
See the next couple of games.
The next couple of games, aye. So the rumour mill, well, that'll be fun. We've got the Lunch Club playing tomorrow, recording tomorrow. We might actually do the rumour mill thing tomorrow just for a bit of fun. But let's finish by talking about the huge game on Sunday. Celtic take on Rangers at Celtic Park. It's must win. We have to win it. Stuart, what's your thoughts going into this game?
They're not great. They're not great, Chris. 9 games. That's how long it's been since Celtic beat Rangers in 90 minutes. 9 games.
It's a long time.
We're due one. That's my point. We're due one. I honestly think that it will just be sod's law that Rangers have nothing to play for and suddenly they turn into, prime Barcelona or something like that, because that's what they're kind of accustomed to in this post-split game. That's the one that they win like 3 or 4-0 because we've down tools. I'm really hoping that, obviously, it's a 12 o'clock kickoff, so it's not going to be like that infamous night game under Ange, but I hope it's that sort of feverish atmosphere and that you just blow them away. And I think the mentality of that Rangers team, if you just don't give them any oxygen, I don't think that they have enough about them going forwards. I feel like we're a master of our own downfall against them all this season. If you look at those games against Ibrox, coughing up possession in stupid places, I think if we can get on the front foot and just get after them, if you score an early goal, I think that you could put them to the sword. But I'm really, really not confident and really, really terrified about it. And I think that one of the main reasons that I want Hearts to drop points on the Saturday night is almost to just give yourself a buffer as well, that even if you match Hearts' score, you still have the opportunity to maybe draw the game, and that's not curtains. But I hope that it can be a big rubber stamp. This is it. This is us going for it. But like I say, at the weekend, I thought that after we'd scored our first goal, and it was just rinse and repeat the same very frustrating Celtic team that we've watched all season. So I'm not positive, but obviously hope we win.
Oh my God. It's true. No, I totally get it. It's Barry, yourself, 40-0.
Yeah, I agree with Stu. I think the 9 games, so it was September 2024, wasn't it?
Yeah,
the 3-0 game.
Bernardo was exceptional in that game.
That's
as
right.
well.
That was Engel's debut, wasn't it? And Trusty was in the stand. We just signed him. Seems so long ago. But yeah, I think we are due one. I think traditionally the home team tends to be better. We've already lost one this season to them, obviously under Nancy. But even that day, the first half, we could have been out of sight.
Yeah.
I suppose that's maybe the story of the season. But to go back to what we said earlier, I think, excuse me, Dyson is finding form again. After that, he went 15 games without a goal or an assist, and then he's got 3 goals and 2 assists in his last 5.
It's like 4 and 2, I think it is. 4 and 3.
Yeah, so AJ always tends to show up well in these games. Engels, I think, tends to have a good game against them more often than not. As Stu mentioned earlier, Engels is bringing out the best in McGregor. The one concern for me is that third man in midfield. Often, we haven't really mentioned him tonight, but Rio Hatate, I think he changed the game at Ibrox in the league game, the 2-each game.
Yeah.
Obviously something has happened, we would think, behind the scenes, but if the midfield 3 was to be those 3, I would feel a lot more confident, but I just don't think it is going to be. And then it comes down to the wingers as well. So I think I would probably go Forrest and Yang with Dyson through the middle, but it's a kind of tombola. It might be Taneke. I don't know. So yeah, I think we will win. I don't think it's going to be pretty. I don't think it's going to be by more than 1, maybe 2 goals at an absolute push, but come 2 o'clock on Sunday afternoon, if we've won 1-0, I'll be absolutely delighted.
Do you think the Hearts game on Saturday will have an effect if they, let's say they go and they win 3-0 or they lose 3-0? Do you think that'll have an effect either way for us?
Yeah, I think, even if it's a draw, I think Celtic Park is bouncing an hour before kick-off, because we know that if we win, we've got a really good chance of winning. Would this be 6 in a row? 5 in a row? 5. So, yeah, I think, and also on the flip side, if Hearts have done it, they've pretty much got one hand on the trophy. I think, naturally, because it's a derby, we'd still be up for it, but you just hope that doesn't translate that we're a wee bit flat before the game even starts.
If you look at some positions that are just nailed on, Sinisalo, the fullbacks will more than likely be Tierney and AJ. It'll be Trusty and Scales.
Yep.
Callum McGregor will play. Engels will play. So we'll put a circle around that third position just for a chat, right? It's going to be Maeda through the middle.
Yang, probably.
Yang.
So there's 2 places up for grabs.
So essentially, there's 2 places up for that. So one of them is so if you look at the winging position, it's Jim, Forrest, Tanetke. It's probably that's your only 2 real options there. And then that central midfield, you've got Nygren. I mean, it's going to be Nygren. Actually, that's.
Yeah. I would like it if it was Oxlade-Chamberlain, but I think that he's maybe shown that he can't quite handle the pace of these games, but neither can Nygren. And I think that for all, everyone's like, oh, it'd be great if Hatate was dropped in now. I actually don't even think he's an option because he's not match fit. He's not played
not going to play
too long. I think that it will be Nygren, and I think that the Forrest or Tanetke one is interesting. I think it might be Forrest in that we've talked a bit about this. I think O'Neill wants people that can handle occasions mentality-wise and also maybe just be able to keep the ball and not cough it up. And so many times, even at the weekend there, against him and Tanetke would go to beat his man and then just come back and
you look terrified
fancy
to take
it.
a man on.
Yeah.
See, one thing that I would do, and I know O'Neill probably won't do this, and it hasn't really worked when he has done it briefly in the past, to get an extra midfielder in there, and because we can only really rely on Yang, try Nygren again on the right side, because he comes inside anyway and plays like an extra 10, and then you bring in Oxlade-Chamberlain, and then that kind of solves 2 problem positions for you.
I guess just from looking at it from my perspective, what I think about who we can bring off the bench that can change the game in terms of if we are chasing a goal or we're ahead and we're doing well and we want to extend that, Iheanacho.
Yep.
I think he's got a real fear factor about him now. It's like his role in the team is to come on and score a goal in the last 20 minutes, and he does it most weeks.
Yeah. Would there be anyone else that you can think of really that would give you something off the bench?
The Ox, maybe,
Yeah.
just for that kind of X factor. I agree with Stuart, I thought he was really poor at Ibrox. He got hooked at half time, didn't he, for Rio in the league game?
That's right.
He had a couple of nice touches in the cup game, but again, he wanted too long on the ball. So, but I just think he has a bit of quality. We've seen that he can hold the ball well. His range of passing is good. He's still got a wee bit of guile to get past someone. So probably those 2 based on former glories, but you can tell that they're still good players. Other than that, Sriracha maybe to give you a wee bit more drive, but again, it's not really been happening lately. I know he came off the bench against St Mirren, didn't he?
It's not really a game changer, is it?
No,
Really?
it's not.
I think Tanetke can be a game changer in the right conditions, but he's an absolute dessert of a footballer. Like, it really has to be conditions are perfect and he can come on and be the guy. I think that a massive, massive, massive factor on Sunday will be Alistair Johnston, because the 2 best Rangers players by a long, long distance are that Tar Romans and Mikey Moore, and they both play on the left-hand side. And I think if it was Ralston, I'd be very worried. And I think you might still end up having to close the game out with Ralston, depending on how Johnston's fitness is. But I think he'll be really important to at least push them back the way.
Yeah.
See, just on that as well, I hadn't thought of that. Like, that Romans been back. I know he came on, didn't he, on Monday? I think that pretty much nails on Forrest playing.
Yeah.
I think so
switch
too.
Yang to the left.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a huge game. We will have a reaction straight after it. Tomorrow we've got the Lunch Club where it's like a fun, interesting, silly, but we will focus on the Rangers game tomorrow with the Lunch Club. Then on Sunday we'll have the reaction to the Rangers game. And then this time next week, hopefully we'll be talking about 2 victories, because the game on Wednesday is the Motherwell game, so we'll be recording on Thursday as always. A shout out to everyone who's bought a ticket to the live show. The live show has sold out, which is fantastic. We have, though, released a bunch of tickets, a small amount. I think it's maybe 4 or 5 extra tickets with the venue. So we are sold out, but we do have a couple more tickets available. So the link is in the episode description of whatever you're listening to, so get involved.
I don't know about you, Chris, but I'm a damn sure it's going to be a good day.
A damn sure.
I'll say
Special
sure.
guest. There'll be a special guest.
It's Junior Adamo.
Buongiorno.
But yeah, so 24th, it's the day after the cup final. Hopefully we'll be celebrating a double. And it's a great live show that we've got lined up, so check it out. Even if you don't see the link or whatever, just search for the Cynic Live Glasgow into your Google, and that'll be that. Great. Barry, you're going to the game on Wednesday. We'll be at the game on Sunday. Yeah. Stuart, you'll be watching it
behind my couch.
Behind your couch.
Sound off.
You're going to the game on Wednesday as well, so hopefully we can get a positive report from you on Thursday.
Imagine this, Barry, if you will. Hearts lose on Saturday. Celtic win. Oh, actually, there's no.
Are you going to say we won the league there?
Yeah, but you can't. You can sort of just like snooker them. You can't win it.
Yeah. I like your thinking though.
Yeah, imagine that happened.
That would have been a real redemption for O'Neill,
given
what happened in 2005 there. But
yeah, absolutely. We do have 35 podcasts happening per month. Check out thecynic.co or check out the Cynic on Patreon. Search for the Cynic on Patreon. Any issues or questions, send an email to editor@thecynic.co and I'll talk you through it.
I have a bit of a weird question. What are you going to wear to the live show?
Barry, just you wait. Just you wait.
Top hat and tails.
Tuxedo, yeah.
Listen, have you seen Dumb and Dumber? But it's been a joy. We'll be back next week. We'll also, as we say, be back over the weekend and through the week with other podcasts. But Stuart Dugan, a pleasure. You've got something cooking.
What?
I look at you terrified.
No, I was just going to apologise for being so negative and I hope that I've made an arse of it and everyone will be like, that guy was wrong.
Yeah. We've got a really fun feature podcast.
Oh, that? Yeah, sorry, I've got something cooking. That'll be fun.
Yes.
That's post-season.
Barry, you're involved.
Oh, yes.
Post-season, baby.
But Stuart, a pleasure as always,
Thank
sir.
you.
Barry, a pleasure.
Thank
Speak
you.
to you soon.
Onwards to victory.
That's it. From Barry Gallagher, from Stuart Dugan, from myself, Chris Gallagher, this has been the Cynic Weekly. And we'll speak to you down the road.